Hi all. I thought we'd cover room arrangement today. So let me share my screen and we're going to, this is for ECERS. So if you look in your environment rating scale book for ECERS, it's page 15, room arrangement for play. So we're just going to kind of go through the different columns for this. So when you're thinking about room arrangement, and most of you probably already have these just fine, but under the 3 column, it says to score a 3, at least 2 interest areas. If you want to score a 5, at least 3 interest areas. If you want to score 7, at least 5 interest areas. So, and interest areas would be your art blocks, dramatic play, your book center, your science center, your manipulatives, and your fine motor. So most centers are going to have at least 5 or more. Let's see. One of the really important things that you want to be aware of when you're doing a room arrangement is your visual supervision. You've got to be able to see at all times for the children. Let's see. So supervision is important, and that means be aware of hidden corners or shelves that are too high, space that's too confined where you can't see around or into the space. 3.3, sufficient space for several activities to go on at once. So there needs to be space for blocks to happen at the same time children are doing art or are playing with the manipulatives. 3.4 says most spaces for play are accessible to children with disabilities enrolled in the group. So this you only really have to worry about if you have children with disabilities enrolled in the group. Can they get around? Are the spaces accessible to them? Let's see. Under the 5 column, it says we talked about 3 different interest areas, but it also says that these interest areas are defined. So you've got to be able to visually see that this is the art area, this is dramatic play, this is the block center. So these areas need to be defined, and usually you do that with shelving or with a rug on the floor, an area like that. But it also says things like you want to make sure there's water near an art area, and that there's hard surfaces or enough shelves for blocks and tables for manipulatives. 5.2, quiet and active centers should not interfere with each other. So your quiet centers are going to be your cozy area, your library, your book area. Those are going to be considered your quiet areas. Your noisy areas are going to be considered dramatic play, blocks, music. You don't want these centers bumped up against each other. And it actually, there's an asterisk here. So if I come down here, 5.2, this is where the asterisk takes me. And it says, look for a separation in physical space, actual distance between your active and noisy centers and the quiet centers. So a barrier doesn't sufficiently cut down on noise, so they have to be separate from the noisy areas. And typically what we do is you have all your quiet on one side of the room, your noisy on the other side of the room, and in the center are your transitional centers, which would be your science center, your manipulative center, your art center. Those kinds of things could be like in the center to make that a barrier between your quiet and your noisy so that they're not next to each other. 5.3, space is arranged so activities are not interrupted. And that would come into play, like you wouldn't want to put your block area right in front of a door where someone has to walk through what they're building or over what they're building to get to the cubbies or to a bathroom or something like that. Oh, and then it says placement of furniture discourages rough play or running. So because this is an ECERS, older kids, you want to make sure that the arrangement of the shelving will cut down on running space. If you have big wide open space, that's just a sign for them to run. So a lot of times you can cut down on behavior just with your room arrangement. 7.2, centers are organized for independent use by children. So this is where you want labels to come into play on your open shelves, labeling the containers for the toys, having things neat and tidy so they know what they're looking at. They know how to put things away. And then 7.3, additional materials available to add to or change centers. So those are your rotation toys. Okay. If I come down here, 7.2 also has an asterisk. So if I look down here, this is where the asterisk comes into play. 7.2, to get credit for that, it says almost all materials in all centers must be organized for independent use. You do want to do labels. Labels are not required in all areas, but you are going to see as we go through the book some more that they are required in like your, in particular, your block areas and your manipulative areas. So you do want labels there. See-through containers used to store toys, materials, easy to take off the shelves, bins, containers with tops that are easy to open. Okay. And I'm going to, if we go back to visual supervision, I actually pulled up the additional notes and I've got it here. And I think whoops, sorry. Well, I'm trying to get, okay, so here, furniture, no, that's not it, sorry. Down here, number 4, room arrangement for play. Here's some additional notes here. A room arrangement that is divided into interest areas can be given credit as being not difficult to supervise visually. So this is where supervision comes into play. So they're not as strict here with the ECERS as they are with the ITERS with supervision, as long as teachers can easily move around the space used by children so that you can frequently see each child enough to ensure that the children are safe and they can interact with each other. Okay, so they shouldn't out of sight. You should be moving around, which is also going to be, supervision is interactive by definition anyways, according to the child care rules and regulations. So that's kind of a given that you're going to be moving around the room. Credit can be given even though they may not see the children at all times. However, the ages, abilities, and impulsiveness of the children must be considered. So some of your older, less impulsive children may require less visual supervision than your younger or more impulsive children. But you do have to take all those things into consideration. And this is not ever going to be an excuse for you to not be supervising your children. They always have to be under your supervision. You're still going to be responsible for them. So I think that pretty much covers everything we need to as far as room arrangement. So that's it for this one.